Welcome to Elevated Women, the podcast where energetics meets strategy and wealth becomes who you are. I'm your host, Myra Swankotze, subconscious reprogramming master, energetics mentor, multi-seven-figure coach, and Brain's 500 global honoree for my work in conscious business leadership. This space is your portal, a frequency upgrade for the woman who's done shrinking and ready to claim everything she came for. Let's melt the old patterns, rewire your money story, and build a wildly aligned business from your highest self. This is your next evolution. Let's begin. Welcome back to Elevated Women. Hey love, I want to have a really honest conversation today. Not something curated or cute, just the real thing, just you and me. Because here's the truth, and you might not be ready to hear it, but you do know that you can feel it in your body. The good girl doesn't get rich. Yes, I've said it. Someone had to say it, and it might as well be me. She gets applause. She gets approval. She gets told how sweet and thoughtful and generous she is. But she doesn't get paid. Not in the way her soul is craving. Not in the way she knows she's capable of. And definitely not in the way her work deserves. Because she was never taught to hold both power and wealth in the same body. And let's be honest, you felt the pull. You know there's another version of you in there. The one who's bold, certain, fully expressed. The one who holds 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, and even 8 figures. You can feel her in your body, maybe in your heart or your belly. You felt glimpses of her in moments of clarity. But the second you get too close, the fear kicks in. That little voice saying, don't go too far. Don't say too much. Don't be that woman. That's the good girl. And she's scared, and rightfully so. Most of us have trauma to overcome, even if you are not ready to admit it. I didn't want to believe it. I always had the most wonderful childhood. How can I have trauma? But I had to find out only when I started my coaching practice, only after I made 7 figures and multiple 7 figures in my coaching practice, after years of being in business, that I did have trauma because I wasn't aware of it before. I only became aware of these things when I started my coaching practice. And I became aware of so much more than just my offline businesses. I had trauma, and it was holding me back in many ways in my business. And it was holding me back in many ways in my life. Now, I had this really wonderful childhood. I had the two most amazing parents, and I know it's rare. I've heard so many stories and that gives me the chills about people that didn't have amazing parents. I had the 2 most amazing parents. So I believe there was no trauma. What I didn't understand was my 4 very much older brothers than I am didn't really want me, didn't really know how to love me, were jealous and didn't really want me there. They felt threatened by me in many ways. I'm the only girl, and I only came when my parents were very old already. 47 was when my mom fell pregnant with me. They were all grown up. So it was hard for them. Today, I have no relationship with them at all. I don't even speak to them. But that's a story for another day. There were teachers. One specific teacher comes to mind. My typing teacher. I've spoken about her in episode 1, I think. She was horrible. And she didn't really know, or maybe she did, but she didn't care of the things that she was saying and how it would affect me for years to come in my life. But that's okay. Those are my traumas. You're going to have yours, and you need to unravel them. I know that maybe right now you are not ready to admit that you've got trauma. And your trauma is not going to look like mine or anyone else's, because every one of us have different traumas. Maybe your trauma isn't really so traumatizing as you think. Maybe your trauma was that you never got what you really needed. And that could cause havoc in your body. I actually read an article about that today, just before I came to record this podcast episode. And I realized how relevant it is, because we always think that something horrible had to happen for you to have trauma. But it's just as horrible when as a child you're not getting what you need. And that could have real consequences. So I urge you today, beautiful, to take some time and find your trauma, because I promise you it's there. It might not be very big or big enough for you to think that it's worth exploring, but I promise you it is. I've seen it so many times. I work with so many women and I see the traumas in every single one of us, and I help women to overcome it, no matter where in their life they are and no matter how successful in their business they are. I see it happening when they want to move from one level of income to the next. Maybe the trauma wasn't big enough to stop them from getting the success that they want. But the trauma is big enough to hold them back from that next income leap. I had this beautiful moment recently in one of my private frequency activation calls. This amazing woman came to me ready to activate her 6 and multiple six-figure self. She could feel that her next level version was there inside of her. And she was so ready to step into her. But something was holding her stuck. Something wasn't clicking. Something in her body was holding back. She thought it might be that she listens to her very logical mind too much and do not pay enough attention to her heart. Because this woman was in her heart. She felt her there. So we dropped in. We slowed everything down. We went into the shadows with compassion, not force. And then her inner child came forward. She was soft, a little quiet, very scared, and yet very clear. What we uncovered was this deep fear of doing something wrong, of getting it wrong, of being criticized, of saying the wrong thing and getting in trouble, of upsetting people, especially authority figures. You see, her mum has been criticizing her a lot growing up. And then in grade 7, a teacher told her something along the lines of, "You're not really very bright." And that moment stuck, not because the words were so extreme, but because they confirmed a belief she already had been holding deep in her body. That love was conditional, that being liked was safer than being powerful, that staying small meant staying safe and not to be criticized. And that belief, it followed her into her adulthood. It showed up in her relationships, in her marriage, and absolutely in her business. She had become the good girl in every space. But once we met that inner child, once we let her speak and be held, something powerful happened. That version of her, she said, she's been trying to activate. she didn't need to reach for her anymore. She became her. It felt delicious. And she let her embodied woman step forward. That's what changed everything. We all have these archetypes inside of us. That good girl. The one trying to get it right. Be likable. Make no waves. The inner child. The one who's afraid of being wrong, rejected, criticized, or not enough. The empowered woman who sets the tone, not just responds to it. And then there's the embodied woman, the one who leads, sells, and receives without apology. This isn't about getting rid of the good girl. It's about thanking her for trying to protect you. Thanking your inner child for keeping you safe. And it's letting the woman that you actually are take a mic. I want you to pause with me a little bit here. This works. Doesn't matter in which stage of your business you are. I promise you it does. So let's take a breath. Place your one hand on your heart, the other on your womb, and just sit with this. Before we do this, I want you to know that you can come back to this place in this podcast, and you can take your time with this. You can come back as many times as you want. But take your time with it. Feel it deep inside of your body. So let's start again. Just take a deep breath in and out. Good. Now I want you to place your one hand on your heart and the other one on your womb. And just sit with us. Where am I still trying to be the good girl in my business? Where am I afraid to be powerful because it might make someone uncomfortable? What would shift if I stopped shrinking and just let the woman inside me lead? You don't have to fix anything right now. I just want you to feel it. Because that's the start. And here's the truth that you need to hear. It's the embodied woman who quantum leaps. Not the one who's perfect. Not the one who's hustling for worth. Not the one trying to say all the right things. It's the one who leads from soul, who trusts her voice, who lets herself receive. I don't want you to get me wrong here. The work I do with my clients are not you sitting, doing nothing to be that soft girl that you see so many of these young kids coming online tell you about. I actually saw a story about that too today. It's not about doing nothing. It's about allowing who you are, the woman that you've always been inside of you. It's about allowing her to come out, to take charge, so that you can do everything the way you're meant to do it, so that you can take those leaps from 6 figures to multiple 6 figures to 7 figures to multiple 7 figures, and hell yes, even to 8 if you want to. Because when you let that embodied woman come out, then things change completely for you. So don't think that this means that you're just going to have to sit under a tree or be on holiday and never work. That's not what I'm saying. You have to work. You have to do the things that you need to do to build your business. Okay, so ladies, I've got some journal prompts that I want to give you, and you don't have to write them down now, so rest and just listen to them. I'm going to put them in the show notes for you. Here they are. And if this is stirring something in you, take them to your journal later today. Be truthful with yourself and just fully let yourself settle into these questions and answer them openly and honestly to yourself. Nobody else is going to see it, only you. It's important that you are completely honest with yourself. Here they are. Number 1. Where am I still performing for love or approval? What am I afraid will happen if I fully own my power? What belief is ready to be released? Not with force, but with love. What does my embodied woman know that I have been ignoring? And if this episode cracked something open and you know it's time to go deeper, come work with me in a private frequency activation call. It's 90 minutes of deep energetic recalibration, shadow clearing, nervous system work, identity reprogramming. Let's call in your next level from a place of wholeness, not hustle, not proving. Just you, fully in your body, finally leading as the woman you already are. You can book that call at myraswankotze.com/activation. I'll put that in the show notes for you too. I would love to hold space for you, for that next version of you to come through. You don't need to play a role anymore. You don't need to carry guilt to feel worthy. You don't need to stay small to stay safe. The good girl can rest now. The woman you are, she's ready to lead. She's ready to rise. And when you let her, everything changes. Until next time, stay elevated. Thank you for tuning into Elevated Woman. If today's episode activated something in you, share it, tag me, or come say hi in the DMs. And if you're ready to go deeper, head to myraswankotze.com to grab your free gift or explore the offers aligned with your next level. Until next time, own your power, claim your wealth, and rise as the elevated woman you came here to be.